Hey, it's me, Tim, and as many of you know, besides making guitars and doing all my reclaimed woodworking stuff that I do here, I also have a line of tools that developed right here on this channel, starting with the SqWAYre, which I came up with about 5 years ago. I have them made here locally, and I've been developing this sort of SqWAYre tools empire. European viewers and metric using viewers, which is like 99% of the world. When I invented the original SqWAYre, I made it in imperial only because I live in the United States and I figured that's where most of my people were going to be. Continues to be where most of my customers continue to be because international shipping is so expensive and whatnot. But I did at one point in time, I made 2 runs of the metric ones, and I just can't make another run because it takes the supply demand thing just doesn't work out. They're so expensive to ship overseas. I don't sell them enough to warrant making another batch, and that's left a few people disappointed. But unfortunately, that's all I can do. So what I had done is I created a clear version because these I can cut here on my own shop and I can cut them to order. So I do the SqWAYre Lite, it's called, in metric and imperial here, and these are they do most of what the metal ones do, but they're just not quite as nice. But then Sencut Sen sent me an email saying that they offer powder coating services, and I got an idea. Since Sencut Sen can do small batches of things and I wasn't getting them inked and they offer powder coating services, I was able to get a bunch of these metric ones cut by them and powder coated. And now I can go put this in my laser and make basically an alternate universe version of the SqWAYre. I'm just checking this out for the first time, and I'm using my original metric SqWAYre as a template, and I can see that the cut is perfect. But what I did notice on these is that there is a little bump right here, and I felt one right there. Not on this side. It's probably where they had tabs, or maybe it's where the laser goes in to start. So I am going to have to just sand down these edges. It really only took a few seconds to less than a minute of sanding just to make that feel perfectly smooth to the touch. You can really see on this one, you can see that mark. I imported my design into my laser software, and what I'm going to do is I set up some cardboard inside my laser that I'm going to cut these profiles out, and the cardboard's secured down so I can just use those profiles to then place my piece and etch it out. Now this metal is a little bit thinner, so the heat was not transferring, and I got a little bit of a warp in it. So I have sped up the cutter and lowered the heat a little bit. So now I can see I didn't warp it, but we don't have quite enough contrast. And this is one of the reasons why I always inked the SqWAYres in the first place, is that when you do try to do this laser etching on such a thin piece of metal, it does become complicated. This is the first one that I etched that it was a little too hot, and you can see when I put it on this flat surface there's a little bit of a warp to it. And this is the one where I lowered the heat and temperature. You see when I put it down, it sits flat like it's supposed to in comparison. And I'm going to see if I can maybe Scotch-Brite and or find some way to maybe clean this up. So you can see at the lower temperature, the lines are smaller and cleaner. But not quite as visible. I don't care about the logo not being wicked visible, I just want the measurement aspect of it to be visible. I'm just not happy with the contrast. I just can't see this as easily as I would like to, and that's when I had this idea. This is an old trick I've used many times before. You spray a little bit of spray paint onto something, and then you use a generous amount of mineral spirits to wipe it off before it dries. And the paint seeps into the cracks and doesn't wipe off with the mineral spirits. The logo was a little too big though, so that did wipe off. And on future iterations, what I'll do is I'll cut the logo differently so that'll also get that same crisp look. I also wanted to point out that SencutSen.com is technically not sponsoring this video. What they did do is they offered me the opportunity to try out their powder coating services, and I did, and I dig it, just like I've dug everything else that I've gotten from them. I do have a coupon code over there. It's 15SWAY all the way to save you 15% off of whatever you get done over at SencutSen.com. And I'm just a fan of them and the idea, because it makes it so easy for people like us to just design something and get it cut and try it out without having to have this huge manufacturing process in place. It's really helped me expand and grow my processes and my creative ideas, and I think it can do that for you too. So SencutSen.com, 15% off with 15SWAY all the way. If you don't know what the SqWAYre is all about, there's some older videos about it. I can put links and stuff. So two features of this tool that might be inhibited by the powder coating are these holes sort of double as dowel cutters, like in a pinch dowel cutters. They're not as good as a professional one. And also you, again, in a pinch can use this as a card scraper, and I think that the coating will probably affect that. But I imagine if you were to rough it up enough to where the coating wore away, or if you sanded this edge down a little bit, you could perform those functions with it as well. But really what the tool's all about is having these two directions of measuring and these quick reference points for finding quick centers and locations and stuff. So go check all that out. And I only made a few of these. They are going to be in the store at sqwaretools.com, available for sale. When they sell out, I will allow back order, and so it'll take me a few weeks to fulfill those. But if you want to back order it, go ahead, and I will be making more if we get to that point.